Hello, and welcome to the Get Lean and Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I'm a certified health coach, trainer, and author. And this podcast is for middle-aged men and women looking to optimize their health and get their bodies back to what it once was 10 to 15 years ago. I will give you simple, actionable items to get long-term sustainable results. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right, welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I hope you had a great weekend and happy Tuesday if you're listening to this on Tuesday. Hope you listened to my interview with Brad Kearns. This was his, I think it was at least his fourth time on the podcast. And a good friend of mine introduced me to podcasting, and he's out of California. He's a podcast host of B-Rad Podcast. He's also an elite masters athlete, and we discussed all about his morning routine, setting goals in your 50s. We talked all about advantages of micro workouts, which I'm going to touch more on today, and much, much more. So definitely listen to my interview if you haven't already with Brad. He has a great perspective. He's been in the health game for a long, long time. He worked with Mark Sisson, still does, and definitely worth a listen. So that's episode 274. Check it out. And on today's micro podcast, I wanted to touch on micro workouts, something that gets discussed a decent amount on my podcast. I've talked about it with Dr. Jaquish, who invented the X3 bar, which is a system I've used for the last probably 3 years now, on and off. I do some traditional lifting. I do some, X3. I like to mix it up. But one of the things Brett and I talked about was these micro workouts that, they can be effective, especially if someone's completely sedentary and they're not doing anything. And, they suddenly just start adding these into their life. And it's just a way to sort of eliminate any excuses, because if a workout's going to take you 10 minutes, really, who can't get that in, right? As opposed to going to the gym and it's an hour and a half ordeal. So I think they can play a role. I'm going to sort of touch on the differences between doing one set versus multiple sets. And this, there's some nuance behind this, but I think most importantly, it depends on, first of all, your goals, your current fitness level, and what you're really looking to do. Like, are you looking to build muscle endurance? Are you looking to build some muscle growth or make some strength gains in your 40s and 50s? Single set training may help you. And you could pretty much find studies. I mean, there are a lot. There's quite a bit. Once I went down the rabbit hole, I know this gentleman, Jay Vincent, who talks all about doing just one set to failure. And you can build muscle. You can build strength from doing this. So I think it can work for most people. And, you can find a study that fits that sort of portrayal, but you can also find studies where, if you're an advanced lifter, 3 to 5 sets might be the way to go. I think it depends on your time and your goals and what you've been doing in the past. But doing a single set of squats of 15 reps versus 3 sets of 12 reps, if it fits in your time frame just to do one set, go for it. It makes much more sense because it's better than doing nothing. And there's some conflicting opinions regarding single set. I think most importantly, it's about the stimulus that you're putting on the muscle. Because if you just, you think of what the goal of the strength training session is to be, it's to overload the muscle and challenge it enough to cause adaptation to occur. And if you're doing 3 sets of 12, but it's just super easy, then you're better off just doing one set and fatiguing that muscle all the way and being done, as opposed to just doing 3 that are, you can feel like you can do much more. So again, you talk about doing sets to failure. Failure depends on the person per se. And you got to get into that mindset. I will say I've done this. I've done one set to failure for a little while and sort of experimented. It is a mindset, but doing one set when you know that you only got to do it once, if you wrap your arms around that and really just do that lift with full intention, you can really get tired, and it can take a toll on your muscles, and you can build strength. So I would say that it depends on your time and your goals. You can find an argument one way or the other. I was looking at, there's quite a bit of studies. There was a 2015 study that compared 1, 3, 5 sets of exercises, found that multiple sets were better with regard to strength gain, muscle endurance, and upper arm muscle growth. So this one was saying that multiple sets was better, but I've seen some studies showing that single set training was effective in the short term. But some of the research concluded that long-term progress and those looking to increase their strength, multiple sets are superior. So I think he can get results either way. I think that there's pros and cons to both. I would say to do single set training, it definitely worked for beginners. I think it's a good place to start. It's an easier way to manage your time. You can still build and preserve strength, and it sort of takes the excuses out. So if you're one that just seems to find an excuse for everything, especially when it comes to working out, go for it. One set to failure, be done in 15 minutes, and no more excuses. But you really got to be intent, and you really got to fatigue the muscle in that one set. Some of the cons, I would say maybe for advanced lifters, and some might argue that advanced lifters should maybe have to do a few more sets. I enjoy working out, so I like doing, I average probably 3 sets per muscle group. So there's pros and cons to both, but this is something Brad and I talked a lot about, and I will just say that if you are going to do single set training and make it work for you, I'll just give you a few tips that you should follow. One, I would definitely still warm up, get your muscles ready by doing, this could be 5 to 10 minutes of some type of cardio or just some light movement. I still do some postural work. I'll make sure that I'm rolling my muscles and just getting them ready for movement. 2, you really got to stay focused on that single set. Like I said, take your time on each of the reps. You're only doing one set, right? So you got to really make sure that you're not bouncing or jerking or slumping. And you want to sort of go slower. You don't have to go crazy slow. I would say maybe count to 4 during the lifting phase and the lowering phase. And this really makes you focus in and will fatigue the muscle. So make sure that you're recruiting all your muscle fibers. Using heavier weights, obviously, too, which, that can come with some risk. So that would be one reason maybe why you don't want to do single set training. Again, I would say if you could focus on 8 to 15 reps, but, it has to be heavy enough that really you can't do any more. If at the end you feel like you can keep going, it's a sign that you need to increase your weight. And then you just got to think maximal effort. Again, it's a mindset. You remember, you're only going one set. You got to go all out, and stay within your capabilities. You don't have to go crazy, but you really have to feel fatigue coming on. And then I'd probably rest at least a day between strength training sessions. So those would be my tips for you if you're going to implement single set training. I think it can be effective for a lot of different individuals, and I think it's worth giving a try. So let me know if you got any questions. Feel free to write in the comments or email me at brian@briangrin.com. And give it a try. Let me know how it goes. And I look forward to talking with you on Friday with another great interview. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. I understand there are millions of other podcasts out there, and you've chosen to listen to mine, and I appreciate that. Check out the show notes at briangrin.com for everything that was mentioned in this episode. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend or family member that's looking to get their body back to what it once was. Thanks again, and have a great day.